and welcome to the post-game show. Living above the rim with the Charlotte Bobcats. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Dustin Phifer. Well, Dustin, another talented team from the West comes in and finds a way to get it done tonight by the score of 112-102. Game ended up being a 10-point game, but was not as close as it looked.
Yeah, I mean, start for the Bobcats. I mean, they get off, get out by double digits in the first half. It goes up to 19 by the end of the first half. Just another case where the defense was really non-existent tonight. They were able to kind of chip and claw to try to get back in the game in the second half, but every time they would get it to 10-9 where they could try to make a run, the Jazz would answer with a bucket, most likely a three-pointer. So that is why, you know, it never could get to where they wanted to get it to, and just another tough loss. And basically this one really, you know, goes on the defense. A tough night. Either you were giving it up in the post to Al Jefferson and Paul Millsap, or you were giving up wide open threes trying to double down on the post. So just really no answer for Utah. They played a good game. Still run that Jerry Sloan offense, even though he's not there anymore. Ty Corbin, one of his guys, and they're a talented basketball team, and they showed it tonight.
You wonder, a lot of people have said, why do they get off to a slow start every game? You know, my point on that is when you start a different lineup about every game, it's hard to get any consistency going right there. I'm looking right now that they had 102 points tonight, the Bobcats, and got a grand total of 35 out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, this has been happening for most of the year. Most of their scoring comes off the bench. He has changed the lineup a few times. Tonight he goes with the same lineup that they went with in Detroit, where they got an overtime win on the road on Sunday. Taylor starting, Henderson off the bench. But again, you know, no points from Bismack, no points from Tyrus. Neither of them play really in the second half. You don't really need points from those guys, but they also didn't rebound and they didn't defend that well. That's why they didn't see that many minutes in the second half. But a lot of points coming from the bench, like you said, Gerald Henderson, Sessions, Ben Gordon. Yep. So I mean, a lot of points coming from the bench. So really, I don't look at that. I understand what they messed the lineup up too much, I believe. I think they need to get a set lineup, kind of stick with it, get some continuity there. But yeah, I mean, as long as the points are coming, I don't think offense is the problem with this team. Another 100-point night tonight. When they won it overtime the other night, they scored 100 points. It's the defense. When you score 100 points in the NBA, you should be able to win most nights. But when you're giving up 110, 115 points, you're not going to get it done. And right now, they can't get any stops when they need to on the defensive end.
Well, you know, but I'm going to bring this up right now. Your most experienced player is not playing hardly any minutes. Like, not only is he a scorer, but he's probably one of your best defenders too. He's Gerald Henderson right now. Why do you start the same lineup that you started with Detroit when that same lineup got you in the hole, and those were not the guys that brought you back and won the game in overtime? That does not make sense. They got you. You see what I'm saying on that, though? These guys got you in the hole the last time they started. Why do you put them back out there and let them get you in the hole again and start this game?
No, I understand what you're saying. I think he just wanted they got to win, so they wanted to stick with the lineup.
But that lineup had nothing to do with the win.
I understand. Well, I mean, you know, most of the starters besides, I mean, Taylor actually wasn't a game late. Henderson only played 21 minutes in that game on Sunday. He didn't get as many minutes as he normally does tonight. I've heard some rumblings that his back's still acting up, so he's not 100%. But also, I kind of think the Bobcats are really going even younger and playing the younger guys more, and that's why you've seen Henderson minutes go down. His contract's up at the end of the year. He's been talked about in trade rumors as far as maybe trading for a big guy. So his future's up in the air with his team. I ask people all the time. I ask you tonight, and it's a tough question. Has Henderson shown you enough to get a starter-like contract at the end of the season? He's been inconsistent, but he's also had some good games throughout the years with the Bobcats. So I think his situation's kind of in the air right now, whether it's injuries that are keeping his minutes down or whether they're trying to go a different route because maybe he won't be here. That's just speculation. But, I mean, you just don't know right now. That's why he's seen his minutes kind of going down. So, I mean, we'll have to see what happens with that situation.
Again, that does not make any sense to me because this guy is a guy who has been one of your faces of the franchise, one of the few consistents. Yeah, he had an injury early in the year that slowed him down, though, but I don't think he's ever been given the chance to come back and do what he was doing before he got hurt there and get back in the flow of things right there. And again, this is one of your faces of your franchise. Yeah, it may be the last year of his contract, but let the guy play. Let him play. Let him see what he can do. I don't think they've ever turned him loose to see what he can actually do.
I don't disagree with you because I think that they are better with him on the floor. I do think he should be playing more, so I agree with you on that. I'm just playing devil's advocate from the sense he's been here for a few years. He started the last couple of years. I know he hasn't had a lot of talent around him that last year, one of the worst seasons ever. But has this? I ask you this. I ask everybody because it's a hard question. Has this guy shown you enough to be a consistent starter in this league? Yeah, he starts for the Bobcats. I mean, he's not right now, but he has in the past for a couple years. But would he start on a lot of teams around the league, or would he be a six-man, a guy off the bench? I think he's a good player. Do I think he's a quality starter? I don't know about that. I still, like you said, I still think he's inconsistent. I think he has had some injuries, but I will go back to the point that you made. I agree that as of right now, he's on this roster, and he does give you a better chance to win with him on the floor. So I would like to see his minutes go up. With this guard rotation, it's tough. Ben Gordon, Sessions, Henderson, Jeff Taylor's playing some guard. I mean, so many guys they have at that position. It's the big guys that are hurting them down low. We need some guys that can get on the post and score the basketball, and that's not happening right now.
But, you know, in answering your question right now, let's look at our roster for real. Would there be anybody, Kimba? Probably, but there would be some teams he wouldn't know. But would there be anybody on this team that could start for anybody else's team?
No, I mean, honestly, besides Kimba, you know, Ben Gordon's played six-man roles off a bunch of teams he hasn't started, so probably not. No, I mean, and that just shows you that, you know, there's a lot of things going on with the Bobcats right now. Yeah, have they kind of added some, you know, veteran free agents? Have they built a draft for Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Kevin Walker? Yeah, but they've got a long way to go. That's just what this shows you about this team. Right now, I mean, honestly, I said it walking up here to do the post-game show. They are depleted at the big man spot more than anybody I know in the league. They don't. I mean, even though Mullins is out, he doesn't really score in the post. They don't have one guy. You look at the Utah Jazz tonight. Al Jefferson, Paul Millsap, Derek Favors. All those guys can go on the block, in the post, get the ball and score a basket when you need it. We don't have anybody on the Bobcats that can do that, and that's what makes it tough for the offense. And then on top of that, the best part of the Bobcats offense is getting out in transition and running the floor. You can't get out in transition and run the floor when a team you're playing shoots almost 60% and is putting the ball in the basket every time down the floor. So that makes it tough for this offense, but they're still scoring 100 points. It has to start on the defensive end, because not only will defenses get you stops to help you win games, but it also leads to easy buckets on the offense, and we're not seeing that at all.
I'm looking at the roster right now, and you may disagree with me, but it's kind of sad right now from the standpoint that Akeem Warwick is probably your best post player.
He probably is. I mean, Bismack, you know, he can get you a rebound and maybe follow up with a dunk. Tyrus doesn't attack the rim anymore. I'll throw it out there. All he does is stand back and shoot jump shots, which is why he didn't see a lot of time in the second half. You know, Warwick, he came out and got you 10 points. He can attack as far as getting you maybe a dunk, but he still can't put his back to the basket and post up. He likes to step out and shoot that jump shot as well. Haywood doesn't really have any post moves. He's all about defense, maybe grabbing an offensive rebound. Nobody down there can get on the block and score a bucket, and that's big in the NBA. You can see it with the Utah Jazz, with guys like Al Jefferson and Paul Millsap, when you have to go down there to help out on those guys, because almost any team can't play them one-on-one. It leaves their shooters wide open to hit threes, and that's what was able for them to extend the lead and get a win tonight.
You are watching the Living Above the Rim with the Charlotte Bobcats post-game show, brought to you by one of our sponsors is the Westside Club, and they are running specials right now on getting in. You've been proud of me. I've actually been getting 7 miles a day in on the walking. That's why I'm so tired right now after school. I've been on the treadmill, go have an hour workout. But the Westside Club, you want to check with them in Spartanburg, go by and see Myra. She can get you a good deal, get you in. They have personal instructors right now they can get you squared away with, though. But they're one of our sponsors. Great time to join the gym and get in shape.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I appreciate the sponsor, Westside Club. I need to start getting back, you know, getting busy. We got a busy schedule with Bobcats, you know, in our works. But I mean, definitely one of our best sponsors. Want to thank them, and hopefully everybody can go out there and check them out.
Getting back right now to somebody else that needs to get in shape. Do you see this team making any progress at this point?
Define progress.
Are they getting better, or are they staying? You know, there's old coaches saying is you don't get better. There's no such thing as staying the same. You either get better or you get worse.
It's a very tough question for me to answer.
That's why I ask you the question.
Are they getting better in the win column? Well, of course not, because they're 2-2 in their last 4 games, so they're kind of. I mean, they have had a couple of wins. They haven't had these long losing streaks like they had the previous. So they've won a couple of games and lost a couple of games. So they're kind of up and down. They did in the last 2 wins. They come on the road, so that shows me improvement, because they used to not be able to win a game on the road at all. Now they can't win a game here at home, so it's kind of flip-flop. The improvement that I do see is guys like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 7 for 11 from the field tonight. Probably played the best on the floor tonight. You still see Kimba getting better. Even though Bismack had a terrible game tonight, you go back to the win in Detroit, he had a career-high 17 rebounds. So I do see improvement in some of the young guys, which is good to see. But as far as is this team getting better to where you may see them start winning on a consistent basis, no. I mean, and I don't think that's ever going to change until, their defense changes, and that may not change until the personnel changes. So, like you said, it's a hard question to answer. A lot of questions. I think they need to try to make a move around the deadline. Try to get a nice big guy in here that can score in the post and play defense. That may require, like we talked about earlier in the show, sending off a Gerald Henderson in the trade, and a guy who's a free agent after this year. So you may want to package him because you don't know if you'll be able to sign him. I think they need to try to get a big guy in here. I think this team would be so much better with a guy they could rely on the post. Then they kick out the shooters like Ben Gordon, Jeff Taylor. I mean, whoever. Kimball Walker's been hitting some threes. That's going to open up their offense so much more, and it's going to help them on the defensive end when guys like Millsap and Jefferson come into town. So I don't see that defense getting better with the same unit they have here. When Mullins comes back, maybe because he can help out just a little bit. But I think they need to make a move at the deadline. That's what I think.
And how long do we have till the deadline?
Deadline, I think, comes somewhere around in February. I think right before the All-Star break, somewhere around there. But I do think, and Rich Cho, I believe in him. He's made some good moves. Even though the record hadn't shown it this year, I think the veteran moves they brought in with Gordon and stuff like that has helped out. And they built through the draft, so he's acquired draft picks. So I could see him making a deadline deal to try to bring some more talent in here, and just to keep building this team, like you said, so you can see it going in the right direction.
All right, you're watching the Living Above the Rim with the Charlotte Bobcats. I'm Coach Dick Cox. This is Dustin Phifer. Again, our show's brought to you by Fats on Highway 9 in Bowling Springs, by the Beacon Drive-In, by the Westside Club, by Larry's Trophies, by Concoction Ministries, and Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We appreciate all these people that make this show possible for us after every game. At this point right now, we're not too far away from mid-season right now. What kind of grade would you give this team?
Ooh. I'm
being tough on you tonight.
Asking some tough questions tonight. After watching a game like that, we're both kind of frustrated with what we saw on the defensive end, and a game where they probably should have been more competitive at home. So, it takes us a while to get our thoughts out because we're trying to think of how we want to word it after being frustrated. But I would probably have to give right now, if you're asking me what I would give them probably a C-. That may be higher than some people. People look at it and go, well, hey, they're 9-25. You're going to give them a C-. Well, let's put it in perspective. 7 wins last year, so they've already reached that plateau before the All-Star break. Even though the record's not great, that's an improvement, and that shows that, hey, they were able to at least get above that mark. So that's good. After a 7-5 start, definitely disappointing to see where they went downhill, whether it be injuries, whether it be teams figuring out what their game plan is. So I would say a C-. I would possibly go to a D. But like I said, it's a long process. I think people got too excited over the 7-5 start. I've said that on a lot of shows on here, and I'll continue to say it. And it's okay to get excited when your team's 7-5. That's great. But you have to realize where this team's at right now in the rebuilding process. Last year was complete rock bottom. You're just now taking the first step out of that rock bottom to get better. So we're in a long rebuilding process. I don't have a time frame of how long it's going to take before this team's a consistent winner. But right now you got to understand that it is going to take time. And I think any NBA fan or any basketball fan can take a step back and look at the process and see that it does take time to rebuild a team. I think you can agree with that as a coach.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate on you right now, though. This I'm probably going to give a D right now, though. And don't ask me I'm not going to ask you what your grade would be coaching-wise right now. Really put you on the spot. That's if you want to answer it. But, my feelings are this is a much more talented team than there was last year. But this team put together an 18-game losing streak, which was almost a 23 of last year. And this team this year would beat last year's team by 25 points. And that's some concern right there. There's much more talent on this team. Is the talent being used as well as it can be used?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's definitely more talent on this team. How can there not be than last year? Is it being used? In some ways, yes. He gets a great, like you said, out of his bench, he's getting great production out of Sessions and Ben Gordon, 2 great pickups in the offseason. He's getting production, from Kimball Walker. Well, I mean, that's one thing you got to look at. I mean, Kimball Walker has taken a huge step in his development this year. So that goes into my grading, goes into my process. I mean, Kimball Walker, people didn't know last year if he could even be a starting point guard in this league. And now he's showing that he's taking the next step in his second year. And you have to give some credit to coaching on that for them to be able to find the way Kimball Walker plays and get the best out of him. So that's why I get some improvement there. You asked me my grade on coaching, and I'll give it the same as I gave the team. I'm leaning more towards a D now, like you said, because when you have an 18-game losing streak in there, that tends to hurt the grade a little bit. So even though I said C-, I would probably lean towards a D, and I put the coach right in there with it. The coach is young. He's learning just like some of these players are young. Do I think they left some wins on the table out there because of coaching or because of late-game situations? situations? Absolutely, no doubt. I have no problem admitting that. There's games that they should have won, whether it be here on the road, the Portland game, whoever it was. There's some games they should have won late that they didn't take care of business, and that has to be put on coaching. So has Dunlap made mistakes? Absolutely. Has he done some decent things with Kimball Walker, MKG, and some of these young guys? Absolutely. So it's kind of a wait-and-see progress. Is this guy really, what is he going to do the rest of the season? I'm going to give him a full year to evaluate him. I don't want to just throw him down a 2 after we're not even halfway through the season, because you never know. He may be able to find someone with this team to click, and they could get on a little run here, middle of the season, end of the year. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But he's definitely made mistakes, and he's definitely had some improvements. So you could go either way on that.
And I will abstain on my coaching vote right now, though, because I'm trying to be positive tonight. So I will not go there on mine, though. But I'm glad that you gave yours right here, though. Again, getting ready to go on the road, got to go play a team that they have beaten here at home already. Close game. What do you see happening in the next game going all the way to Toronto?
Toronto's a hot team right now. I think they've won.
Isn't everybody hot? Everybody gets hot when we're supposed to play them.
Very true. Detroit was hot, but we went to Detroit and got a win. Right. Toronto, I believe, don't quote me on this, but has won, I think, 5 or 6 games, 5 in a row. So they're playing some very good basketball. So it's always tough. People don't realize about Toronto, because you don't hear a lot about them because they're in Canada. They have one of the best home crowds in the league. Toronto really comes out and supports their team. So it's going to be a tough place to go play. But with the way the Bobcats are playing on the road, I'm not going to put it past them to go up there and compete. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I do think it will be a close game that comes down towards the end of the fourth quarter. You never know with this team. You have one night where they come out and lay an egg, and you have another night where they come out and they fight their hearts out. I'm not saying they didn't play hard tonight, but they go out there, they compete, and they're there at the end of games. So I will say they go out there and compete and have a chance to win in Toronto. They got some momentum going on the road, and sometimes teams can build, like you said, continuity and chemistry when they're away from home. So we'll see.
This team can be a decent team. I'm not saying a playoff team, but they have got to start establishing a consistent lineup. They've got to start putting together, start a consistent rotation of who's going to play when, where these guys can learn their roles. When a guy sits and doesn't play any and then come back and starts the next game, and then the next game plays 5 minutes, something like that, I know as a former player, as a former coach, you can get nothing going with that right now. And this is what they have kind of fumbled through here through the first, 34 games. At some point you've got to bite the bullet, and you've got to go with what you're going to do. And I think it's past the stage right now where you've got to quit fishing, putting your fishing pole in the water and see if this lineup's going to work this quarter. We'll start this lineup this quarter like that. You've got to go get your lineup ready and go by your guns and get it doing if you want to accomplish anything. If not, then this team's got the potential to lose 18 in a row again. They got the potential to win 5 in a row. But they have got to develop some consistency.
I definitely agree with that. I think setting a lineup and sticking with it is the way to go. But I also put the challenge out there to the players. You got to go out there and you got to produce on a night in, night out basis. I think that's what Coach Dunlap's trying to get across to them. Your spot's not given. So just because you're starting, don't think that you're going to get the minutes. You got to go out there and show it. A perfect example of that tonight is Bismack Biyombo goes down to Detroit and grabs a career high 17 rebounds and a win. He comes out back at home tonight, and he's been a starter for a while, so he's been in the lineup consistently. He goes out there and grabs 2 rebounds in the first half. His defense is terrible against the low post, so he doesn't play that much in the second half. Tyrus Thomas goes out to Detroit, starts. It's because Hakeem Work was out sick. Plays a decent game, double-figure score, makes some big plays in overtime. Comes out tonight, first 4 shots, jacks up jumpers that you can get any time in the shot clock, and doesn't move the ball around. He doesn't play much in the second half. So some of that onus has to go on the players to go out there and play your role and show that you can do it on a night-in, night-out basis. And those 2 guys, I hate to throw them under the bus, they didn't do that tonight. So I give credit for Dunlap saying, hey, if you're not going to go out there and give us what you're supposed to give us and play in a team way like that and grab rebounds like that's Bismack's strength, and go out there and Tyrus to play and not just jack up shots, then sit on the bench. I can't disagree with that, but I do agree with what you're saying. Continuity is key in the NBA. You don't see, if you look at all NBA teams in the league right now, most of them have a set starting lineup. They don't change it hardly at all anytime during the year unless injuries occur. So they definitely need to find a set lineup. I totally agree with you on that, but the players also got to step up.
Well, my thoughts on this are, too, you've got an extremely young team, one of the younger teams in the league right now, though. These guys have got to have consistent leadership from the standpoint. They're learning on the job. You cannot have a coach that's learning and fishing and experimenting and dibbing and dabbing and all like that. They got to have somebody that they can count on for stability. And right now they don't have that right now. And that's where they have got to find something, the stability of knowing that we do this is the way it's going to be, this is how it's going to be right there. And again, that's why I think that Coach Dunlop's has got to step up and quit being a rookie coach, where he's got to be consistent in what goes on, where the players can learn by his leadership doing that, though, and that's something I don't think they've had so far.
And let's hope that'll grow throughout the season. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, so technically we are still in the early stages. Has the players, have the coaches all made mistakes? Absolutely they have. But let's hope they take those mistakes. The biggest thing about that is let's hope they take those mistakes and learn from them. Let's hope by the All-Star break they have some continuity. Let's hope the players have learned that they found a set lineup that they're pretty good with that they can start with. Let's hope the coaches have learned what their players can do and how to use them and get some consistency. And then hopefully by the All-Star break, like you said, you may see them where they finally have some continuity, they finally learn from their mistakes, and they're putting together 5-game winning streaks, and they're winning games, either every other night or, they're at least winning games on a consistent basis. That's what I want to see from this team. That's when I can give my full grade. I knew they were going to make mistakes early on, like you just said. Dunlap's a rookie head coach, so any coach that comes in his first job is going to make some mistakes. The team's young, they're going to make some mistakes. Let's see if they learn from those mistakes. If they don't learn from those mistakes, then my grade might go down to an F in the second half of the year. If they learn from those mistakes and I can see differences in how they play and then winning some more ball games, then my grade could go up. So my grade's not finalized, but that's the key. Can they learn from their mistakes? That's what I'm going to keep asking myself as we get towards the All-Star break and halfway through this season.
All righty. You've heard it right here from Dustin Phifer. I'm the Coach Dick Cox. The Bobcats will be home next Tuesday as the Indiana Pacers come to town and the Sacramento Kings come to town next Saturday. 2 opportunities to see the team play, though. You have been watching Living Above the Rim with the Charlotte Bobcats. Again, let's see if the Bobcats can get it together. They played well on the road and bounce back. When is it, their next game they play?
I think it's Friday.
Friday, because I know they practice tomorrow. Yep. They'll be going to Toronto. Don't forget your passport.
That's right.
We saw that on the board there, though. For Dustin Phifer, I'm the Coach Dick Cox. Have a good evening, everybody.